So I think I offended a YouTuber that was a 49er fan. This is RamView, part 2.
It's hot out there, but let's blow them off the line of scrimmage. Hold on, okay.
Live from the RamCave, I'm Joe Rosian, and this is RamView, the July 12th, 2025 edition, brought to you by Kistler Law Firm. Injured in an auto accident, need help, got questions? Call Kistler Law at 661-206-6990. That's Kistler Law at 661-206-6990. And check out KistlerLawFirm.com. That's one word, KistlerLawFirm.com. Kistler Law, they've been fighting for you since 92. And by Temple City Auto Repair. Having some auto issues? Get yourself some John and Henry at TempleCityAutoRepair.com. All right, guys. I had the first 29 minutes nailed yesterday. 29 and a half minutes. I went through the Rams roster there, a little bit in the offense, gave thoughts about what I fear, upset a few people. Some people were messing with me. And then when we got to the part where we're talking about the NFC West, I trashed the 49ers. And the next thing you know, I was off the air. My screen froze. I got warning signs I had never seen before. And so what I did was I just pushed on through the show and then found out that I had been taken off the air completely. So we'll see how this one goes. And I do apologize. I'm not going to repeat the whole show. I'll leave out a lot of the bells and whistles. What I did basically was look at each of the Rams rooms because it's a slow news day. I looked at each one of the Rams rooms and just gave what I thought was going to happen with these different players. The wide receivers, for example, Davante Adams. I don't think he'll be vintage Green Bay. I think he's going to be good. I think he's going to have moments where he's great. But, you know, Adams is motivated, right? We talked about yesterday. You can check this out in part 1 from yesterday. I'm wearing the black shirt that, you know, he's going to go to the Hall of Fame. It's a question of when does he get in. He doesn't have a Super Bowl appearance or a Super Bowl ring. He's got all the numbers. Torrey Holt has all the numbers. He has 2 Super Bowl appearances and a Super Bowl ring, including a Super Bowl touchdown, and he's still on the outside looking in because there's such a glut of receivers. Davante Adams, for a induction into the Hall of Fame that doesn't happen around 2045, needs to get a ring on his finger. So I think he's highly motivated. I think he's in great shape. Again, not vintage Green Bay, but an incredible simulation. He's going to be good to great at times. Puka Nacua is someone I'm worried about. I'm worried about injuries. I'm worried about that fairy tale of 2023. You know, he got hurt last year. We're going to see how it plays out this year and such. But the way he plays, his style of play, I'm not confident in Puka Nacua staying healthy all year. Tutu Atwell. I got faith in Tutu. I think the Rams, in one sense, have faith in Tutu because $10 million was a lot to give him guaranteed to bring him back because I think other teams would have given it. You got a guy that can run. You got a guy that can catch, right? The only problem here is while I have faith in Tutu, I do not have faith in McVay in getting him the touches. I just don't. I don't know how Atwell disappears in the playoffs. I mean, we're not talking Cooper Kupp disappearance, and I know that's heresy too. Cooper Kupp was getting 30 to 40 snaps, 50 snaps, and they're just not getting him the ball. No, I'm talking Atwell's not getting any snaps at all. I mean, he's gone Jimmy Hoffa on the sidelines there, and no one knows where he's at. No one knows what McVay's thinking. I definitely thought Atwell's time was done, and I think Atwell probably would have left too. But someone offers you $10 million guaranteed, yeah, I think I'll put up with that indignity for a little while. And I know the Rams believe in him, and I know McVay's talking about making the offense more dynamic. That includes Atwell getting his touches, but that's a wait and see. Jordan Whittington. I like Jordan Whittington. Whittington will be productive, but not at the 2023 Puka Nacua level, so we can talk about another steal we got in the draft. I think he's good. I don't think he's great. He's versatile. I like him a lot, but if we're expecting too much out of him, I think we're going to be disappointed. And then there's the 7th-round pick this year, Kanata Mumfield, right? A lot of people like this guy. I'm not sure, but just hearing all the different voices talk about him, I understand why they like him. I understand what they're saying. And it would be nice, right? It would be nice. Let's just say Whittington is a 6th rounder, Mumfield is a 7th rounder, join Nakua as a 5th rounder as these legendary Rams steals. But, I think Mumfield's going to be productive in the Jordan Whittington fashion more than in the Puka Nakua fashion, if that makes sense. I think everyone's right to be talking about him. I'm not dumping on people for talking about him, but it's just something you should probably keep an eye on, because sometimes we get a little overhyped, and I think he's going to be good. Let's just not talk the way Nakua was in 2023. Nakua was and remains out of sight as long as he's healthy. Xavier Smith, Britton Covey, I'm Team Xavier. Now, Smith had the great punt return against the 49ers in week 3. Didn't really break one off after that, but you're comfortable with him back there, and they did incorporate him into the offense. Xavier Smith is the reason I thought we wouldn't see T2 Atwell again, but I'm anxious to see how this plays out. I'm not a Britton Covey guy. I know he's had his run, but I've seen the party, right? I've been to the show. I've seen that. He's good. He's okay. I'd like a younger Xavier Smith. Tight ends room, Tyler Higbee's going to get hurt. How bad he gets hurt, we don't know, but he's going to get hurt. I think Terrence Ferguson is going to break out. I think he's going to thrive. I do like the pick. If somebody is moved, it's going to be Colby Parkinson, right? I don't think his contract's outrageous, and I don't think his year in 2024 was the disaster or bust that everyone says it is, because it's convenient, it's low-hanging fruit. The only thing that disappointed me about Parkinson last year, besides no red zone touchdowns hardly, was the fact that he dies easy. And I said this yesterday. He dies easy, and how do you say it? He goes down with one tackle, right? One tackler brings him down. He doesn't break any tackles. Davis Allen has 2 years left on his rookie contract. I don't think he's going anywhere unless someone makes an offer. Kyron Williams, I think he's going to have a really good year. I think he's going to beat the fumble issue. Blake Corum's solid. Jarquez Hunter. I like Jarquez Hunter. And I'm wondering if he can pass block, can he leapfrog into the 2nd spot ahead of Corum? I'm just curious. And even if he's a home run hitter and can do the other things that Williams and Corum does and be a home run hitter, could he leapfrog even Kyron Williams? It's not an unheard of thing to happen in the NFL. Offensive line, I'm going to zip through this real quick. I'll say it. They found out about Larry Jackson in early June, and they're treating him now. I'll say he's ready to go week 1. Rob Havenstein, I think, is probably going to miss about 4 games, but play well. And there's going to be that dilemma. Do you bring him back? Do you not bring him back? Kevin Dotson has over 2,000 snaps at right guard in 2 years. He's been nothing but consistent. And so, yeah, love Kevin Dotson, feeling comfortable there. Steve Avalot, left guard, I think this is the year we find out if he's ordinary or extraordinary. I think for a 2nd-round pick, 37th overall, I think it was in 2023, he was extraordinary, right? But at that level, he was extraordinary. And so is he good, or is he going to be great? He's not Dennis Hara. He's not Tom Mack. He's not John Hanna. He's not any of those guys just yet. So we got to find out. I thought last year was kind of like a flatline year. He got hurt early, was okay, had to come back, play better, was better by the end of the year. I think this year, we find out if we got something really special in him, or some guy the guy's pretty good, right? That's where we're at. And then, of course, Coleman Shelton. If anything goes wrong with this offensive line, Coleman Shelton's the head we want put on the spit, right? We're all in agreement there, okay? Notes, DJ Humphrey is nice insurance, but he's only liability. I wouldn't count on him for no more than 5 games. Maybe he plays the month of September until Jackson comes back. If not, I think we're in great shape. If he has to play more than 5 games as a starter, then I'm worried. I think David Quisenberry is less than that. And then, of course, you got to look at your offensive line and say, where do you place hope? I think we believe that Bo Limmer can still develop. For most people, the jury's out on Warren McClendon, but Sean McVay likes him, and I think he's pretty good backup at right tackle. And then the wild card here is KT Leviston. I'm really interested to see what comes about with KT Leviston. Let's see. Tim Burns checking in. I read people are picking Ferguson to fail while not thrilled with the pick, it's a stretch to predict he will be a bust. I think so too. I think it's a stretch to say he'll be a bust. Would you? I think it's a great conversation. Would you label Tutu Atwell a bust? I would label a bust on the administrative end, not in his play. He just hasn't had the opportunity. They haven't done things to accommodate his skill set. I think they had a vision, and the vision was never fully realized. But Atwell's got good hands. Atwell runs routes. Atwell's got speed. He got hurt his rookie year, but he hasn't been hurt in the last 3 seasons. So what's the issue here, right? I think it's more of a Ram thing than anything. And I think if there's a Ferguson issue, it's going to be a Ram thing, as long as he signs and all that stuff works out. But they say tight end's the hardest position to play for Sean McVay. So we'll find out. His first pick in 2017 was Gerald Everett. And I think Ferguson could be a little bit better than Gerald Everett. But remember, McVay didn't draft Tyler Higbee, but they extended Tyler Higbee, and they let Gerald Everett just play his 4 years and walk. I am interested. I'm confident about the pick. I think they're all better. We see Mick Snead has hit his stride. The combination of McVay and Les Snead, they've hit their stride in draft picks. Okay, this is where I cut out last night. 49ers, rumors are building that Brandon Ayuk might be ready to week 1. I hope he's healthy. We want everyone to be healthy. But I think in week 1, that's kind of a rush back given his injury. If he was with the Rams, I wouldn't want them to do it. But then again, if he was with the Rams, I wouldn't have wanted them to extend him. He is a number 1 talent, but I think he's a 50-cent brain. I do. I don't think he's just not a guy between the ears that I would want leading my room, right? He's a little bit better mentally than George Pickens, maybe a little bit less talented, but yeah, I just wouldn't want Brandon Ayuk. And thinking about it from the really negative stretch there, as a Ram fan, you bring a guy back too early, he plays 1 game, not ready to go, struggles the first half of the season, and then does he get nicked up again? He's just not ready. They need him to play in Frisco. They need him to play. If, heaven forbid, Nakua or Adams goes down, I think there is confidence here you can put in Jordan Whittington. You got Tutu Atwell, that they wouldn't have to rush any of those guys back. Cardinals, NFC West. Word is that Kyler Murray's in the best shape of his career, and everyone's all happy and excited. He's in great football shape, but that's never been the issue with Kyler Murray, right? That's never been the issue. The question of Kyler Murphy is this.
I don't think he's tough enough, Holmes. I don't think he's got enough heart.
That's right. I just don't think he's got enough heart. I don't think he's got the chips to play quarterback. I just don't. I think everything needs to be going his way, or he's going to be unhappy and he's going to sulk. So whatever, Cardinal fans. ESPN came out on the Seahawks and said they're not thrilled where the Seahawks offensive line is. I feel like John McClane and Die Hard, welcome to the party, pal. We've noticed that a long time. They've made some moves, but we're going to find out if they pay off. All right, just working my way around. I'm going to skip around the NFL and other places in terms of the NBA portion. I saw Bronny go 2 for 8, 1 for 6 beyond the arc, and have a plus-minus of -3. And then I turned on J-Mac filling in for Coward, and he was talking to an NBA expert, and they're still saying that, Bronny could be the Lakers' TJ McConnell, right? Yeah, and right, yeah. And I'm a Tyrese Halliburton, come on, please help me. My curious thing about the Lakers is, with the talk about LeBron James's days being numbered as a Laker, and management indicating they're kind of moving in a different direction, how long does Bronny stay with the Lakers? And can he stay in this league or on a team without his dad hanging around? Something to think about. Back to the NFL. I did see the link on, speaking of who are the worst Rams head coaches in this century, and Steve Spagnuolo's name came up, and I'm not going to argue against it. He had a nice brief start there before everything fell apart, which led to Jeff Fisher. But here's the thing. Spagnuolo deserves to be in the Hall of Fame, right? This dude's won 4 Super Bowls as a defensive coordinator. 4 Super Bowls. And as early as 2008, the Giants were paying him $2 million a year to stay as their DC. This guy's special. That is his calling. That's what he is. You wouldn't want him to be a head coach, but I would put Steve Spagnuolo first ballot Hall of Fame if it was possible. A rather news, a former Ram, Demarcus Robinson, got off on his DUI charge with a minimal fine and probation. NFL still might want to weigh in on a suspension. I don't see it being anything more than a game. We like DeMarcus Robinson as Ram fans. Rams got 2 great years out of DeMarcus Robinson. But let me ask you this. Are you going to miss DeMarcus Robinson? And that's a great question, right? Are you going to miss DeMarcus Robinson? Let's see here. Tim Burns. Joe T will never like Beelzebub, Brahms Breakfasts, and Kyler Murray. Okay, let me put it this way. Beelzebub, definitely. I'm out. I sold all my Beelzebub stock when I was 18. It's all been sold. The other one is Brahms for breakfast. Let me defend Steeler fan Rob here. It's not that Brahms is bad. It's not that Brahms in Ozark, Missouri is bad. It's just that it's cheap. And if you know Steeler fan Rob, you need a crowbar and pair of pliers and WD-40 to get him to pry open his wallet. When he says he's buying breakfast, you're not going to the top flight breakfast brunch place in Ozark, Missouri. You're going to Brahms, where it's a little bit less than a Lincoln to get your plate filled. And if that's where he wants to take his girlfriend, that's great. All right. And Kyler Murray, no, I think Kyler Murray suffers in my estimation. For me, is that they've told me he's great, and when they tell me someone is great before they've done anything great, that's where I'm really anti that person. I still don't think LeBron's great. I know they were telling me he was great. He's a really great player for this era. I don't think he would be. I don't think he'd be a GOAT in the 90s. I think he'd get bounced around, and either he'd develop the mental toughness or he wouldn't. I don't think he's mentally tough. I just don't. Sorry. I think he's softer than his mama's love. Andre Agassi was a guy they told me, oh, he's great. He's great. Took him forever to settle his game down, cut his hair, win some majors. And then Agassi was, of course, great. I know. I followed tennis back in the day. And so when they're telling me Kyler Murray's great, they're sold. It's like, no, sorry, not going to deny what my eyes see, and neither should you. Tim Burns again. Burns is on fire. He wants to hold on to that number 1 spot. Side note, word is Caitlin Clark went to Nike and got Sophie Cunningham 25 Rocks contract. Way to pay your muscle. Wow. And Nike hasn't really even utilized Clark much, have they? I saw Sophie Cunningham's hit 4 3-pointers last night to beat Atlanta. I was kind of wondering where Brittany Griner was. The thing about Cunningham, for all of Nike's social justice whims and everything they talk about and fighting for causes and all their Colin Kaepernick. Let's remember Sophie Cunningham is a tall, beautiful blonde, right? Is a tall, beautiful blonde, and she sticks out. And I think she's straight. She sticks out like a sore thumb there, more so than even Clark sometimes in the WNBA. So if Clark did that, it was almost like that was just a money waiting to be picked up, and she picked it up. Let's see. Tim Burns. Agassi is the GOAT. Steph is dreamy. Are they still married? Because I know Agassi was married to Brooke Shields for a while. I guess him and Steph. If him and Steph are still married, I think that's a great story. I think that's a really great story that, as great as they were, and everyone forgets about Steffi Graf, right? Getting up early, watching some of the French, some of the Wimbledon, Graf and Gabriella Sabatini, watching that. Of course, where I was, because of my family ties, we had to root for Sabatini. But yeah, those were some legendary times. And I watched it, believe it or not. All right, let's get back to the NFL. Things are stone cold news-wise, but the Bears extended Ryan Poles as their GM. He was hired in 2022. I think the same year Omar Khan was hired for the Steelers. Poles has gone 15-36. Omar Khan has gone 29-22. Of course, he's 0-2 in the playoffs. He's had Poles has had 10 top 100 picks. I think he scored with Kyler Gorin. Jaquan Brisker at Penn State, I really liked him, but he was hurt a lot last year. I think they scored with them. Darnell Wright and Tyreek Stevenson, and then Caleb Williams and Rome Odunze. I think they scored there. Darnell Wright was 2023. Caleb Williams, of course, and Rome were last year, 2024. So 6 out of 10 he's hit on. Omar Khan has had 11 top 100 picks. And it's hard to say, you know. I heard some people arguing they gave up on Kenny Pickett too soon. I think it was Bradshaw. I don't know about that. George Pickens was a top 100 pick. We're going to find out about Broderick Jones this year. I definitely think they hit on Joey Porter Jr., Keno Benton, Darnell Washington, and Zach Frazier, Peyton Wilson. I think they hit on those guys. So I think they've hit about on 6 so far, and I think we're going to find out about Broderick Jones this year and Troy Fontenot, and that's going to take it to another level. Roman Wilson only played in 1 game last year. That one surprised me. I thought he was an NFL-ready guy. Maybe he was injured. I think there was some injuries involved, but I like Roman Wilson, and we'll see. He only played 1 game. But I can get a little bit extending Omar Khan. I just think it was a little too soon to extend Ryan Poles. I don't get that. I just don't get it at all. Let's see. J.D. Durham. He comes in number 2 today. He's got football on Saturday. Yes. I got a deeper opening to this show on yesterday's thing, JD. I got bounced because I probably offended a 49er fan in Google Central. And so I got bounced yesterday. So I'm just doing a recap and all the stuff that I didn't get a chance to go into in front of you guys. I do appreciate you joining me on Saturday. There is something lighter on Saturday. Is it because it's not everyone racing around? Yeah, you know, I would think about doing it during the season, but one of my favorite things to do when everything is settled in the morning, I kind of like to watch college football. So I can't say I would do a show on Saturday mornings, you know, unless a sponsor wants to come in and join Kistler Law and says, Joe, we want you on Saturday mornings. So if you guys have something, how you want to sponsor me to come on Saturday mornings, I'll do it. All right. I read a projection that they said if everything can go right, this wasn't a Vegas gambler projection, but this was just some sports writers saying that if everything went right for the Las Vegas Raiders, they can win 10 games this year. And I'm up on the Raiders. I do. But I think they can have a great year. I think Carroll can have a great lay and a great foundation. I like Genty, Bowers, Jacoby Myers. I think Geno Smith has proven himself to be a capable quarterback, you know, and he's a guy that in the face of danger will always call upon God. We know that, right? You know, when you see Aaron Donald pounding at you, you yell, "Oh my God!" Right? You get a little scared. But I don't know if it's enough to overcome the AFC West. They open in New England. That's a loss. They play the Bolts at home. I'm going to give that game to the Bolts. Then they got to go play the Texans. And then there's the Bears. Colts, they host. They'll win that game. They go to Tennessee. I'm sorry, they go to the Colts. They'll win that game. They host Tennessee. I think I'll give them that one. They'll beat Jacksonville. And then there's 2 back-to-back games, a Monday night game against Dallas in Vegas, and then a game against Cleveland in Vegas. Give them 2 wins there. They get the Giants at home and stuff, but they got to go on the road to Philly as well. I see this team, the gamblers, the actual Vegas gamblers say the Raiders will win 6 games. I give them 7 at best, and maybe they pick off a win against KC and Denver. I think this team could go 0-6 in the division, and it would still be an improvement. They pick off a win. Maybe that takes them to 8 or 9, and that would really be pushing it. I don't see them getting 10 wins. If they do, if they get 9 wins, Pete Carroll should be coach of the year. They really should. I think age is going to have to strike Kansas City really hard. I think Bo Nix is going to have to make sure he doesn't have the sophomore slump. And I just don't anticipate the Chargers, unless there's just too much Spanos in the room. I don't anticipate the Chargers having a bad year. But what I do anticipate is a long conversation with Najee Harris for playing with fireworks. I'm making millions of dollars. I'm not touching a firework. I'm not. And apparently this guy hurt his eye which hurt his eye playing with fireworks. All right. I think we got all of our stuff in, the stuff we didn't get in. There's really no Rams history today. Michael Stewart celebrates his 60th birthday. He played 7 seasons for the Rams, 3 in Miami. He was drafted 8th round by the Rams in '87 out of Fresno State. And he played strong. He was my first professional football interview. I actually got to go there in leading into the '88 season and interview him. It was a little bit uncomfortable because I set up the interview and one of their interns didn't tell Michael Stewart until he was sitting down for lunch. Now, Stewart was great. He was very respectful and everything, but the guy wanted to eat. And I'm sitting there with my briefcase open and interviewing him and asking all kinds of stupid questions. At the time, now I look back and I cringe, and I hope he doesn't remember me. But the advantage in that for me was I did get to sit in the cafeteria and the dining hall with the Rams as they came in, and it was crazy. It was just noisy. It was like, Charles White walks in, the offensive line yells at him, and the offensive line sounded like a high school locker room. Jim Everett comes in, and he looks like president of the United States. He's the guy. John Johnson, the original John Johnson out of Texas, comes in, and he's got his playbook tucked under his armpit. He has glasses on. He's eating and studying his playbook at the same time. Very businesslike. It was a great experience. It was also the same day I think Steve Dills and Mike Gooman were put in the street, and I ended up walking by them, and they were looking for someone seriously to have a conversation with. So it was a pretty interesting day. But that's my memory of Michael Stewart. So he turns 60 today. So happy birthday to Michael Stewart. Yesterday I talked about Isiah Robertson. Was the anniversary of Robertson's trade to the Buffalo Bills. He had lost his job in '78 to Bob Brzezinski. I made the argument that if Robertson played outside linebacker for the Steelers in the '70s, they would be remembering him instead of Jack Ham. I always thought Jack Ham got a pass because he played for the Steelers. I know he was good, but man, yeah, I don't think he was great. I just don't. Yeah, I know, I don't. I'm more Isiah Robertson. Rams punched their ticket to a couple of Super Bowls in the '70s, not even wins, but just get there. Robertson's in the Hall of Fame. This guy was amazing as a player. 6 Pro Bowls, All-Pro twice. 25 interceptions for a linebacker. Now, they weren't registering sacks as official stats in those days, but they only listed him with 19 and a half. But if you think of that Rams team with their front 4, Dreyer, Youngblood, Brooks, and Olsen, Rams didn't need to blitz that much. They didn't need, and that's why Robertson was really great. I mean, memorable pick sixes at times, including in the playoffs, and a hard hitter. Robertson is a linebacker who would translate very nicely into our present day. Unfortunately, he died in a traffic accident a number of years ago, but always an Isiah Robertson fan. And we traded him for a 4th-round pick on July the 11th, 1979. And unfortunately, he missed his run to the Super Bowl with the Rams. Finished in Buffalo, starting all 4 years for Chuck Knox. Did not miss a regular season game in Buffalo. Appeared in 3 playoff games. Also, on July the 11th, 1976, the Rams traded a 5th-round pick that was a guy named Ken Bordelon. They had drafted him in '76 as a 5th-rounder out of LSU. Ken Bordelon, he was a linebacker. He wasn't going to really make the team. They traded him to the Saints for a 4th-round pick. Bordelon played 7 years in New Orleans. Only 6. He had an injury year in '78, but he started for a couple years, had a pick 6 and 2 interceptions. Had a nice little career there for a 5th-round pick, and the Rams got a 4th-rounder for him. I think it's because you're sending an LSU kid back to New Orleans, but the Rams got a 4th-round pick in 1977 for him, and that 4th-round pick turned out to be 91st overall, and it was Vince Ferragamo. A really innocuous trade, and it turns out it's Vince Ferragamo. And Ferragamo is still on scholarship with a lot of Ram fans just because of that run in '79. Everyone loves Vince. I didn't like him at first, but I grew to love him a lot. He got his first experience in the NFC Championship game in '78 when Hayden went down. And then he settled things down in '79 and got us to the Super Bowl. And again, Eddie Brown makes a play. Nolan Cromwell makes a play. And Vince Ferragamo is Broadway Vince, right? Is Broadway Vince. Wow, guys, you joined me today. Let's see. Let's see. Help me. Okay, Norm Van Brocklin, Bob Waterfield should be on the NFL pyramid of great quarterbacks. Well, I think at one time they were. They just come down because of other great quarterbacks there, Willie. Glad you're here. Steve Ramirez, was it like a scene out of Brian's song? Help me with that one, Steve. I've gone so far this morning. What part did refresh me on that one? Where I messed that one up. Steve Ramirez, I seem to remember Isiah Robertson was not a happy camper after Knox left. You know, they suspended him during the 78 season, Steve. He was actually put on suspension. And, you figure Rams got 7 great years out of him. And Brzezinski was really good. And then it kind of, he just superseded it. And he had money issues, right? He was always mad at the Rams for money. Let's see. Tim Burns, I recommend an old baseball movie. Billy D. Williams, I know. Richard Pryor, Darth Vader, yeah, I know. James Earl Jones, Bingo Long Shot. I saw that movie. They used to have Esquire Joe, right? Esquire Joe and Rainbow and all those guys. I saw that movie. That was a lot of fun. USA X-Pac, Saturday, PJ? Nice. Hey, man, I had to make up for that disaster yesterday. So sorry to repeat some of the same stuff, but I had to throw it in there. James Earl Jones, Tim. There you go. Steve Ramirez, very good movie. You know what I liked about that movie was just, I think Billy D was the Satchel Paige character, and I just noticed the look on his and was it James Earl Jones' face, because he was the Josh Gibson character. Esquire Joe is potentially getting signed to go to the majors, and he's so happy, and they know it's not happening to them, but it's happening to someone else. I thought that was very poignant. Let's see. Tim Burns, they will come, Ray. There you go. Being in the NFL cafe. Oh, was that like Brian's song? You know what? It didn't even enter my head. Steve. It was just there. It was a great experience, in the long run. I was embarrassed initially because this guy's got his sandwich and his drinks and everything and everything. He wants to sit down and have lunch and probably sit with his teammates. Maybe wants to sit with John Johnson and get some training on the thing. And instead, you've got this intern from the college newspaper that shows up, and they want him to. He goes, "Oh, we set you up for an interview." He wasn't rude. He was a really nice guy. I always rooted for him after that. He shook my hand, gave me his time. So I've always been a Michael Stewart fan. He hosts Rams Talk with Derek Ciapala, and I've had some interactions with Derek Ciapala, not with Michael Stewart, of course, but yeah, I'm always pro Michael Stewart. There we go. JD Durham, what about the Rams cornerbacks? Are they going to be good enough this year? I'm going to break down that room probably on Monday as we try to pick up speed on all the stuff going on in terms of there's nothing going on, and we'll just look at each room. But the cornerbacks, I think in the collection, they're great. I think it's a good room. Akilla Witherspoon, you don't want him playing too many snaps. Kobe Durant's in his contract year, so he's hungry. Darius Williams was not horrible last year. Someone tried to say he was horrible. No, he was okay. He wasn't great, but he was okay. And as long as he's not trying to defend AJ Brown, he's great. And then of course, Darian Kendrick is back. The Rams believed enough in him to bring him back. They just didn't want to pay the money. And then ultimately, my guy, and apparently he's everybody's guy now, Emmanuel Forbes. And the Rams didn't draft anybody. Rams didn't sign anybody. That tells you what they were thinking about this room. And so I'm pretty confident that I'm actually feeling more and more optimistic about the off-ball linebackers. Omar Spates, Nate Landman, and you keep hearing about the Dolak kid and Chris Pupal, right? These are, man, could the Rams have a strength in their linebacker room, right? And so there's exciting there. When you hear pundits taking cheap shots at the Rams secondary, they're lazy. They're not doing their homework. They they are the poster children for KVM. You can't say it's a weak spot. You could say, you could raise a question about like, hey, this is the one area. But when you look what the Rams did, let me back up there. When you look at what the Rams did, the Rams are demonstrating they feel confident with the players there. They've got the money to spend, and there's players out there, but they're just not going to do it. Stephon Gilmore's still out there. Asante Samuel Jr. is still out there. There are names they can bring in, but are they any better than Ahkello Witherspoon, right? Are they any better than Darius Williams, Kobe Durant, Darian Kendrick? They were high on Darian Kendrick before he went down early last year. Let's see. USA expat, Isiah Robertson. I will always remember him. I remember him always jumping into limos after the games. Oh, I never saw that. I that's kind of cool. What I do remember about Isiah Robertson was reading the story that he chased Doug Krikorian. Now, if you grew up in LA, you read basically as a kid, there were two newspapers you couldn't do without. The LA Times, which had the best box score and technical information you could want. I know they had Jim Murray, who was good, but I wasn't enamored where I had to read Murray, right? And then John Hall was the other one. But the real entertaining writers were at the Herald Examiner, right? When I started out, I was inspired by Alan Malamud, Doug Krikorian, and some of these guys. And Krikorian was with the Herald Examiner. And it was he used to call Kareem Abdul-Jabbar his royal baldness. I mean, he was great, but I guess there's some account where Isiah Robertson chased Doug Krikorian off the field. Later, Krikorian with Big Joe McDonald hosted a great sports talk show, literally on every station here in Southern California. They were, Mighty 690 had the loose cannons. But really, I thought McDonald and Krikorian were the loose cannons because they knew the LA scene. And when they talked sports, they were great. Sometimes they just went off on tangents. But when they talked sports, it was unbelievable. You really felt like you were getting some inside stuff from them and interesting stuff you wouldn't get anyplace else. Let's see. J.D. Durham. How much will that Philly carry the Rams this season? I hope it carries them all season because I think they're hacked. I think McVay was hacked. I think they knew they had what ultimately were the Super Bowl champions on the ropes. McVay throws a strike. Stafford throws a strike there without getting sacked. And Rams win that game. They beat the Taxkins at home. And with that Rams pass rush against that Chiefs offensive line, it would not have been a 54-51 part 2 of 2018. I think we would have seen the same results. And I think they know it. I think they believe it. I think they really got a sense that they were this close. And I think they were closer to winning the Super Bowl in the NFC divisional round than they were actually being in Super Bowl 53. I know that sounds really weird, but Belichick out-coached McVay in that game. The lights, I know Mr. Burns is going to get on my case about this. The lights were too big that day for Jared Goff. There were just too many missed opportunities in that game. And I go into that game now looking back thinking, I don't know if we had a chance to win that game. But I think we were closer in the divisional round last year of winning the Super Bowl than we were in Super Bowl 53. There, now you can talk trash about me and get on my case. So there we go. Hey guys, let's see here. Since you guys are here, I'm happy to hang around for another few minutes. I kind of spit the bit on all my stuff. I got it all out. Let's see here. I'm just looking for information that maybe I was sitting on. But no, I wanted to make sure I followed up on everything because I felt bad. You guys were with me. When you come out on a Friday night to hang out with me, and then, I guess I talk trash about the 49ers and YouTube freezes me out. I felt bad. And then you join me on a Saturday morning. You guys are great. So any other thoughts? You guys want to keep talking? Someone throw something at me. I'm willing to go a couple more minutes here. Let's look at the Rams schedule again. Let me roll down to the schedule here. Let's see. But don't you guys ever find that fascinating that that you can make a trade that seems like, what kind of trade was that? And then find out what it turns into a few years later, like the Vince Ferragamo deal, right? Never thought anything of it. Let's see. USA Expert. Last night, I thought that McVay froze you out. I think it's because of my Tutu Atwell comments. Yeah, probably. McVay getting on my case, right? Let's run through this Rams schedule real quick here, and then we'll let you guys start your Saturday. I got a business meeting in about 90 minutes. Let's see. Week 1, Texans at Rams. I like the Rams in this game. I think the Texans, I don't like what they did I don't like what they did after getting rid of Laramie Tunsil. I'm not believing in them. I think they're going to try to run the ball. We're going to have a great test for Poona Ford and some of those linebackers that we've signed. But ultimately, and I think they're going to be okay defensively. Yeah, I think the Rams win this game. I think the Rams beat the Texans at home. Of course, it's the Rams, so it wouldn't be the Rams unless they start the season 1-3, 2-4, right, and put us all on edge. Let's see, Rams Titans. I think the Rams. Cam Ward will not have his feet under him by week 2. Rams win that one. Then in week 3, they go to Philly for a rematch. And that'll bring up all the memories there, JD. Let's see. Steve Ramirez, my big disappointment as a Ram fan were losses in the 76 title game, the Super Bowl, and last year. So that really stung with you last year, Steve. I think as the playoff progressed into the Super Bowl, it's the loss stung more last year, right? Because you saw what the Rams could have done against the Chiefs, right? You saw that. If they had ended up playing Buffalo, right? We beat Buffalo, right? And so it was right there. It was right there, and they couldn't take it. 76, you win in Dallas, and then you go there, you march all the way down the field, and I think in my heart of hearts, I knew when that kick was blocked and Bobby Bryant took it back for a touchdown, you knew, this is the curse or whatever it is that's settling in. And then the hard part was we close the gap, make it 17-13, and we're kind of driving a little bit, and you think, this is it. All right, it's going to happen here. And then I think, was it Ron Jesse Hayden was going to, and he kind of overthrew him, or was it or did Bobby Bryant just step in front? Bobby Bryant just read it and got the pick. There's a great shot of him just coming up and making the interception. That was sick. And then, of course, I was at the 37-7 loss to the Cowboys, so that one was brutal. The Super Bowl will never leave me. Super Bowl 14 will never leave me. So there we go. Rams Eagles. My hope would be that it's week 3, that the Rams wouldn't turn the Eagle game in Philly into the Super Bowl. That is my hope, that it would be that they wouldn't go there trying to win last year, right? That it's just focused on this year. If the Rams win in Philly in week 2 and they start off 3-0, every brother and their brother is going to be saying Rams Super Bowl, Rams Super Bowl, Rams Super Bowl, right? Everybody and their brother. I don't care if they do, but I could see the herd hierarchy having the Rams up there. I could see all kinds of stuff, right? Of course, first 6 weeks of the season, you always got to have the Ravens and Lamar Jackson as number 1. So I'm not worried, and you shouldn't panic either if the Rams lose in Philly in week 3. Colts at Rams. Rams need to win that one. Niners at Rams. Rams are going to lose 2 division games this year. I just feel they're going to go 4-2 in the division. Nothing worse, but I think they could. Niners at Rams on Thursday Night Football, October 2nd. Rams need to win that one. You just need to get that one in the bank. Then they go to the Ravens, and then they go to the Jaguars in London. And I think they'll beat the Jaguars. The Ravens game, again, I could see the Rams losing that game, and everyone saying, well, they can't beat the good teams. They can't beat the Eagles, and they can't beat the Ravens. And everyone's going to be down on the Rams and such. I could see them losing that game, but I also could see them winning it. They won it the last time, but Baltimore won it on a block in the back in overtime. Anyone remember that game? Then there's the bye. Then Saints at Rams. Rams have to win that one, right? Rams go to the Niners week 10. By that time, It'll be interesting to see who's still active for the 49ers. I know I'm hearing Christian McCaffrey's going to have a bounce back year. Will Trent Williams still be playing, right? Will Brandon Ayuk be pouting? Will he be playing? Will Purdy still be upright, right? There's all sorts of things to consider there. Will Salah have gotten his defense in line? I think the Rams on paper at any time of year should win that game, but just whatever's going on at that time, it could be, we could be curious to see how it plays out. Seahawks at Rams. Let's see here. Seahawks at Rams. That's going to be a tough one. That's a afternoon game. Rams should win that one at home. Buccaneers at Rams. Buccaneers are a good team. Be real careful about the Buccaneers. Tristan Wirfs' injury is interesting at left tackle. Just had surgery. We'll find out how serious. Rams go to the Panthers and they should win. Rams go to the Cardinals. They should win. McVay generally is great in Arizona, and we don't have Trey White anymore. Lions at Rams, they should win. Rams at Seahawks. Seahawks could pull something there. Rams at Falcons, Monday Night Football, December 29th. Rams need to win that game. They just need to pound the Falcons down. We want the Falcons to have a miserable year. And then Cardinals at the Rams, Week 18. And that, the last 2 years, Week 18 has amounted to nothing for the Rams, right? Last 2 years, the Rams haven't had to play for anything. That's where you get the Jimmy G start, the Carson Wentz start. My hope would be the everything's wrapped up. They start Jimmy G. Let Stetson Bennett play the back half of the game, and everyone's healthy going into the playoffs, right? There you go. Let's see. J.D. Durham. Will Shula get an HC job next year? I think he's going to be offered an HC job. If everything is successful for the Rams, I think he is going to be offered an HC job just based on what? His success, and that name doesn't hurt. And guess who's one of the coaches on the hot seat this year? McDaniel down there in Miami. And I didn't think much of him to begin with. He's supposed to be a whiz kid and all that kind of stuff. He looks a little soft to me. And so I could see him getting bounced, and I could see Dolphins management saying, yeah, we could bring in a Shula to be head coach. If I was Chris Shula, I wouldn't do it. I just wouldn't. I'd stick around, And, Shula has been patient. Let's say his name's Chris Shula, right? He could have done other places with that name. He's tight with McVay. McVay didn't advance him until he was ready. He's been with the club since 2018. So he's got patience. Maybe he's like a Spagnuolo. Maybe he's a guy that thinks, my best destiny is a defensive coordinator. Maybe. I know you got to find out, but maybe that's what he is. That would be great. If Shula was to McVay what Spags is to Andy Reid. Tim Burns, I dropped a win in my latest season record prediction, 12-5. My high end is 12 and I think I said 13-4, but 12-5 seems right. I think my low end is 11-6. I think that's where I'm at. But I'll take 12-5. J.D. Durham agrees with me. He's thinking Miami as well. All right, guys. It is for a show that was supposed to be a part 2. I've gone a whole new show, pretty much. Thank you. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. Buy my books. Be sure to support Kistler Law. A week from Monday, July 21st, I'll be at camp. So my broadcast will be sketchy, July 21st to the 25th. I'll see what I can do in getting on the air. Just busy days for me. But there we go. Guys, thanks for joining me. Have a great Saturday, and I will talk to you soon.